Hello, everybody. I know this is the moment you all have been waiting for, and I have to say I am very, very sorry that this one actually took me longer to actually do this. There was so much of my schedule that was going on and off so many times. And the fact that there were so many bad episodes in season 4, I had to watch each and every one of these episodes again so I could actually rate which ones I hate the most.
But yeah, I think we all know that Kings of the Con will be a part of one.
So now that I actually figured it all out, and now we can actually get down to the most hated episodes from season 4. The one you all have been waiting for me to bash on.
Like fire, hellfire.
Stall Monitor.
I agree with you. Stall Monitor is the worst episode ever.
Oh, damn, do I hate this episode so much. Lincoln in this episode comes off as pessimistic and annoying as he was in Raw Deal, thinking that his teacher, Miss Johnson, might actually say something bad about him to his parents at a parents-teacher conference. And yet, he had Rusty actually dressed up as Miss Johnson. Who'd have guessed that he likes to be a cross-dresser?
Well, it's similar to Party Vowel and Frame on You.
And yet the parents are suddenly fooled by this disguise, like they couldn't even tell that that's Rusty and not Miss Johnson. Seriously, are you guys really that fucking dumb? The only thing I found great with this episode was the first appearance of Stella's mother. I'm hoping we get an episode around Stella and her family, because we've already seen so much of the other Freckle Gang's family. I really want to see Stella's grandma. And I definitely want to see her grandmother with Nana Gale and Myrtle. Everything else in this episode can just frickin' blow me. Andrew Brooks, I don't know what you're doing, but you better get your head out of some place and make things better. Because I am so tired of you writing some dumb, very dumb Loud House episodes.
Like fire, hellfire.
On thin ice. I know I already said my conclusion about the episode before, but I feel like I'm watching No Such Luck 2.0.
I know, right? And besides, No Such Luck is even worse than I expected. And I hope it's like similar to it because of the good luck and the bad luck for the team.
I know it's kind of hard to believe, but Lynn, oh my gosh.
She's literally crazy like in any other episodes like Leonard Takes Saul, Can't Win Them All, etc.
She was probably at her worst in this episode compared to Sitting Bull.
You're giving out facts, to be honest.
And A Dish Come True. There was so much in this episode I couldn't stand about her. But someone, you don't have to take my word for it. I got someone else here who you might actually pay attention to, since he actually did make his debut in this episode with me.
Ooh, I wonder who that is.
Hello everybody, and thank you Loud House Critic for letting me take over of one of the worst Loud House episodes of Season 4, with explaining with much better details, because originally it was incredibly rushed and I was highly nervous with that review.
And I'm also highly nervous about the commentary that I'm making. However, I'm not trying to be rude here, it's just that I really want to see. So yeah, I'm nervous.
And I don't think I explained my opinions on that episode too well. Now, the main reason why I despise this episode is because it is horribly offensive.
I know, right? I do not like the way when Lynn says, that's bad luck for the team, that's good luck for the team. I found this so crazy about this episode because nobody in the life would do this, and especially me.
This is completely not hockey at all. This is its own rules. Pucks can apparently go through nets to create a hole. Goalies literally jump out of the way and allow an easy goal, which he should have easily blocked, and that hockey player should have got 2 penalties in that one goal. One for roughing and the other for goaltender interference, so that goal should have never have counted. he should go into the bad boy box, also known as the penalty box. So yes, there's some cartoony moments happening there, and they even got the arena wrong. In professional hockey, there is a pretty big stadium with individual seats. This so-called hockey stadium looks like an AHL or even lower hockey league. It does not look like an NHL stadium at all. Why? Because there's bleachers, the stadium is incredibly small, and you can even see the arena from the outside when that guy opens to throw away something. So yeah, this is all cartoony as hell. And this is not the only time that the show has offended me. The show also had offended me one time in Season 3, The Loudest Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is an offensive holiday.
Now, I do respect your opinion about The Loudest Thanksgiving. I also hate about the drama and the food fight. But yeah, I don't want to go on topic with you.
And now we got to the worst character of the episode. And that is Lynn. Oh my god. I could not stand Lynn in this episode. She once again believed in some stupid ritual superstition bullcrap.
I know, right? Like, I really don't understand why she does that, even though she does it, like, in many episodes, such as Luther Consequences at the end, when she said, like, tie for number 2 because of the toilet clogging. Yeah.
And her saying it's good luck for the team over and over again got really on my nerves.
I know, right? In the theme of the episode, it is don't believe what you see on the internet. And yet, Lynn still doesn't care.
Great job, Lynn. You reminded us of one of the worst episodes of Season 2.
Way to go, Lynn. And Jeff Sayers. What were you thinking? Like, can you have common sense for Lynn to behave next time?
No such luck. And all that she did got her kicked out of the game, which obviously she deserves.
For real. For real. That was my favorite part of the episode. Because that's what she gets for being crazy as
Then she sneaks in back into the hockey game and goes in the middle of the ice during the intermission.
And then this girl police officer, and it's not the one from Rita Her Rights, it's the one right now, it's a different one. She wants to try to catch Lynn because she's already inside in the building.
That is highly illegal. And she's literally in the middle of the ice and running around avoiding guards and stuff.
For younger people who watches The Loud House, or for people who doesn't know, I know it is illegal.
That kind of bullcrap gets you permanently banned from the hockey stadium.
Once again, Jeff Sayers, what were you thinking? Like, give common sense to Lynn or something.
Okay, maybe it's different in other countries, but I definitely know in the United States you will get permanently banned from that kind of stuff. And then they just let her go scot-free for some reason, even though she did a lot of bad stuff in the episode. Why did they let her go scot-free? Oh my god. Remember when we all thought that Lynn was actually going to be a good and likable character during Season 4?
Well, I guess that didn't change. They just break the promise.
Hell, I was one of those people. Well, it turns out that performance in good sports was actually a fluke. And Lynn is back to square one. And she's not the only character that has that problem. Wanna know why I don't take characters like Lincoln or Principal Ramirez seriously, even though people said that they're reviving? Lynn in this episode is the perfect example why. There are two positives I have about this episode. One, and probably the most obvious, is that at least this episode is better than King of the Kongs.
I agree with you, but not even better than some of my favorite episodes like Link or Swim.
And another thing I really like about this episode is the hockey player, who I'm still trying to figure out is he trying to be like Wayne Gretzky or not. And he doesn't do much in the episode, but the reason why I like this character is because he was actually a former LA Kings player that I grew up watching. And his name is Kyle Clifford, who wear number 13 and play for the Los Angeles Kings from 2010 all the way until 2020. And he was a 2-time Stanley Cup champion both in 2012 and 2014. And also, fun fact, I was actually at both of those games when Kyle Clifford won the Stanley Cup. It's amazing how they actually got a former NHL player to actually voice a character from a Loud House episode, one of my favorite TV shows. And that's it. That's my opinions on Thin Ice. Thank you, Loud House critic, for letting me do a much better version of the review that I did originally. I hope everyone has a great day, and see you next time, and go Kings go.
I literally agree on your opinion, and I literally agree about the score. It's like a 0 out of 10 or 0 out of 100. Cringe.
Like fire! Hellfire!
House flip.
This episode gave me nerves, but it's okay because I guess we're gonna review it together.
Fucking hell, I hate this episode so much. Not because someone had another lie reveal story. Then again, I do hate it for that. I just hate the fact that everybody, and I mean mostly everybody aside Flip and Lily, are complete idiots.
Even Lenny, even though we all know that she is dumb, because I guess...
Tell me, does this sound so familiar? If we even find one more Nick on Vancilla, you could say goodbye to your driving privileges indefinitely.
This is a spoiler alert, but she changed it to 1 month.
We really got this parenting thing down. We're experts. How does that shit sound to you ever since a couple of episodes back that they did something when they're not really experts? Especially what they did in the very end to Flip. Speaking about this douchebag, he gets injured after the siblings were fighting over which radio station that they want to hear. Ever heard of headphones and actually listening to your own damn phones or MP3 players, whatever the fuck you guys got?
Yeah, I know, right? Even my older sister has headphones, so she cannot hear me complain every single day.
But they suddenly back it up and Flip gets injured by a sign, which somehow he would have been dead by now. And so far, they don't even want the parents to find out. And what do? They actually hide him in their house in their attic to try to keep it a secret from mom and dad so they don't lose their driving privileges. Or should I say Lori and Lenny?
Lenny doesn't know how to drive. At driving Miss Hazy, she tried, but Lori sabotages. But she learns how to drive in season 7.
Wait a minute, Lori was the one driving before Lenny could even do it in season 6. I would say Lincoln and his sisters do deserve this kind of punishment and torture from Flip. And then again, I feel half-assed sorry for them. I say half-assed sorry because of the stupidity that they put themselves into. Basically, they didn't learn anything from the past episodes in the other seasons. Are they going to continue to do stupid shit like this? Oh, I hope fucking not.
Like fire! Hellfire!
Friends in dry places.
And yes, it's Lynn as well.
Fucking hate this episode so much as I hate the one trope that actually got inserted in this episode, and everybody knows how I feel about that.
Well, this is all Lynn's fault for doing that.
Especially when they did this shit already with Room and Horde and House Flip, and now they put that in this episode along with Raw Deal.
And even predictability, but with the twist.
Because it becomes another Loud House episode where Lincoln becomes so much pessimistic once again, as he worries that his friends in the group are actually going to be splitting and going their own separate ways. And there was so much he didn't even need to worry about. But it's Lincoln. What else can I say about him? I didn't enjoy this episode very much, and I disliked it from the very beginning.
Me too. And even for Lynn, that will be a 19 out of 100.
And I especially hated how the way he sabotaged and got his whole entire friends group lost. Just because he wanted them together. Look, life isn't always about staying together. Everybody's going to have their own kind of interests, and they're always going to be friends. But you can't always do a Lincoln and Freckle Gang episode. Just like we all know Lori was going to go to college and not stay in the Loud House forever, or Lenny going to get her driver's license sooner or later. So many things have got to move on and not be stalling and running around in a circle all the time. Otherwise, I would throw up. But this was nothing compared to Room and Horde when I almost did in that episode. So this episode, I'm better off watching that episode than watch this kind of shitty, dry, baked up episode. Especially how terrible the ending was.
Like fire! Hellfire!
Don't you forget about me.
It's even worse than Friends in Dry Places. And similar as anyways.
Do I even need to say what's wrong with this episode? Other than me despiting the fact that I have to despise Lenny Loud in this episode for her actions for what she did for Lori? I think this one is more considered Lenny Loud's worst episode than Grub Snub. Because there's just so many things unlikable about Lenny that she wouldn't even do stupid shit like this. Because Lenny's usually the sweet one, the sweet, bubbly one. She clearly almost ruined Lori's reputation at Fairway University just because the two of them are going to be far away from each other.
It's more like when Lori sabotages Lenny's driving. It was very bad.
I mean, honestly, big fucking whoop-de-doo. Have you never heard of Messenger? And many people were so oblivious not even to realize that it was Lenny pretending to be Lori. Yeah, but then again, I wouldn't blame him since everybody else is a complete idiot in this Royal Woods universe. And what hurts this episode even more is having Lincoln and Ronnie Ann be in here for filler. I don't know if this is a fan service that's trying to get on our nerves, but honestly, it ain't fucking working. It ain't gonna happen. And that shipping has sailed away already. So if you like Lenny at her best, you actually will like her in Everybody Loves Lenny, Shop Girl, and Driving Miss Hazy. If you don't like how the way they ruined Lenny's character, then don't watch this piece of shit.
Like fire, hellfire.
Kings of the fucking Con.
This will be the longest thing I will be saying for my thoughts because how long Kings of the Con is. Just like Really Loud Music and others.
Do I even need to repeat myself of what I just reviewed a few years back? Right before I went into therapy?
No. In fact, I never even watched this episode because it was too long.
I will admit, this was the most biggest disappointment episode in the Loud House of Season 4 ever. But this is a warning to everybody, as I said before in A Dish Come True. I'm not going to defend Lincoln and Clyde, and I'm definitely not going to defend Lincoln's sisters either in this episode. Because first off, I highly doubted that Lincoln and Clyde were ever going to make something work around in the comic convention, realizing that his sisters were actually going to be crowned the queens of the con. And they're not even A-savvy fans like the boys are. And they wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for them. And second off, when they realized that they are actually not going to make it to being kings of the con, what do? They actually kidnapped the kitty, which is pretty much of a bad idea if you ask me. And the fact that this plan would have instantly backfired on them for having to kidnap this cat and actually fight it after winning it escaped. Although the fight scene in the end where they're fighting the kitty, it's actually pretty neat for me to actually witness, but it is questionable to me if this is considered animal cruelty. Then again, I wouldn't be too surprised if that cat was actually a possessing human being inside that cat's body. Kind of like Salem from Sabrina. And personally, he's really not a cat. And even in the end, when Lincoln and Clyde actually fessed up about what they had done, they got kicked out of the movie and the sisters were actually there and they didn't do anything to defend him or actually include him in the movie as well too. They're pretty much egotistical sisters. That's a mistrial, as much as the judges are pretty much biased. But what Lincoln and Clyde did, it doesn't make them a bunch of idiots. They're just kids with average intelligence who occasionally mess up.
Lincoln, I know we have these amazingly accurate uniforms, but we're just 11-year-old boys.
And we've all made some dumb choices now and then again. And most people would actually might object to say that Lincoln actually making bad choices as he's supposed to be the voice of reason. And he has actually been the voice of reason in Project Loud House, in Sweet and Sour, and other characters have been the voice of reason, such as in No Guts and No Glory, with Lori. And the episode special didn't really seem to catch the ladder, though, of being kings of the con, when this episode should have been queens of the cunt. The sisters were too oblivious and egotistical in this episode. The boys fucked up so many different things, including kidnapping the kitty. And the judges are too much of a damn oblivious sexist. I wouldn't show an episode like this to a kid if they were gonna commit suicide after watching it. Which I hope they don't do, but if you wanna hear my full opinion about the episode, watch my Loud House episode review. Because I'm not going back to this episode ever again. And my number one most hated Loud House episode of the damn 4th season belongs to A Grave Mistake. Fucking hate this one so much. Especially how horrible Lucy was in this episode. And she is nothing compared to how Lincoln was in this episode, compared to how the way he was throughout season 4. Do I even need to tell you how dumb he got in this episode, especially during the funeral? Somewhat, I couldn't give two shits about Ricky the Rooster, but then again, how the way they handled this funeral, it wasn't even that funny at all. Especially when Lucy didn't even know what the fuck she was even doing. I could see episodes that actually do this better, especially in the Rugrats. In an episode, I'm gonna get this title wrong, called Remember Melvin. And in that Rugrats episode, it knew how to handle the death of a living creature. And it didn't need to be comical either about it, especially if it's a children's show. Children need to be aware of so many things that happen in life, especially about the death of one another.
Ridiculous! Utterly ridiculous!
I mean, take a look at a Sesame Street episode about Mr. Hooper. I'm telling you, when you look at that episode, you are gonna bawl. But an episode like this, you're not gonna feel that same way. And this is gonna sound a little much controversial, but somehow I see Haiku as Trump, and I see Lucy as Biden. Because the way they handled Lucy and Lincoln in this episode, it was just a terrible way. Like, they're like being a far-right influencers. Even if Luna's song at the very end of this episode was actually great, but it's not great enough to save this episode from being terribly bad. And I'm sure PETA and a lot of people who grew up with farm animals are really hating this episode. That is not a joke, by the way. Many people who actually seen this episode, they wrote outraged letters to the people of the studio who wrote this episode. So I pretty much hated everything with this episode, especially about how they handled the morticians in this episode. So much animal cruelty they did at that funeral. And that's putting the nail in the coffin on this episode. And I don't mean it in a good way, just because it's a Lucy-centered episode. Like, this episode should have stayed dead and buried. And finally, I just concluded my most hated season 4 episodes. And I'm going to be betting that season 5 episodes are really not going to be that much easier for me to find about what's much hated and what's much best about them. Till then, this is Torrance Smith Part T, formerly known as the Loud House Critic, and I'll see y'all the next time.